Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of Pod Strickland. I'm your host, Shwin and this is episode 306. I am joined by my co-host Prez, that is at _Presidente on Twitter. Prez, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. Looking forward to this long weekend, but I'm not doing as well as Queen's own Mike Malone, who is fucking lit at this parade out of his mind. I don't know if I've ever seen a coach get it popping that much at a championship parade. Although I'm sure Phil Jackson was like in another fucking dimension for half of his championship. So who knows?
Probably not too many native New Yorkers that have coached championship teams, so that might be part of it.
Yeah, that does lend itself to a certain personality type conducive to certain celebrations.
This is a long weekend? Why is this is a long weekend, right? Of course it is.
Yeah. Some people get Juneteenth off. Some people don't. So if you get it off, enjoy your weekend. If you don't, enjoy
take
your
it off anyway.
Weekend. I don't know. Yeah, or take it off anyway. Take matters into your own hands.
Yeah. Don't be a bitch. All right, but before we get started, I have to make a few announcements. The first being that the Strickland has an Instagram. Check that out. That is at thestrick.land on Instagram. We're posting all kinds of new content on there. The Strickland also has a YouTube channel where you may be watching this podcast. If you are, please hit like and then subscribe to the channel. That would be a huge help to us. The Strickland also has merchandise. You can find that on our website. We've got all kinds of shit on there. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hats, coffee mugs, water bottles, you name it, we've got it. Check that out. Again, that is on our website. Finally, the Strickland has a Patreon, which you can subscribe to. There are a number of different tiers. There's a $6 tier that gets you access to Pod Strickland, this podcast that I host every Friday with Prez. You also get access to the Strickland Mailbag, hosted by Andrew Steele, a.k.a. Doug, a.k.a. the Doug Bag, that comes out every other week alongside Dallas Amico. You also get access to the Strickland Discord, where the conversation never stops. There are further tiers. There's a $9 tier that gets you access to Strickland Roll, my solo pod, where I rant and rave about the Knicks even more. You also get access to wonderful premium articles by Matthew Miranda, one of the best in the business. There are further tiers. There's a $15 tier, $30 tier, $50 tier, and $100 tier. Those come with a variety of additional benefits like listening in on pod recordings, merchandise discounts, and even potentially co-hosting a podcast alongside yours truly one day, whether you choose to subscribe or not. None of this would be possible without you. And finally, none of this would be possible without Bet Online, which is your number one source for all your championship finals, info, stats, news, and scores. Get the latest odds and lines and the latest match reports for this year's NBA and Stanley Cup finals, which have both concluded now. But you can still find stuff on there. Bet Online is your sports intel headquarters this season, as we have you covered for all your insider sports wagering needs, from basketball and hockey to MLB, UFC, and boxing. The fastest and easiest way to get your betting info, including live betting options and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your home. Get into the action today. Head to the website or use your mobile device to join, and be sure to use our promo code BLEAV, BLEAV, to receive your 50% bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. And this podcast, will be starting with basketball. I want to talk about the draft. I want to start with the draft. I know we had like plans to do other shit. I want to talk about the draft. Because the slop has started and
big time. It went from like zero. There were like no rumors.
They're not allowed to
now
talk
they're
about
all the rumors.
They're not allowed to talk about it during the finals. No one's like, you guys have no.
That's a great point.
They're not allowed to talk about it. Like, this is why when reporters like not saying anything and they're like, they come out like when shit happens, like, oh, I actually knew about this 4 months ago. And I'm like, cool, you didn't fucking tell anybody, idiot. Like, what do you want me to do with that? But like, I was listening. Look, it's great. I gotta say this too. Podcasts during the finals fucking suck. Like, I don't need 7 different pods. It's so funny. Like, I could listen to 7 different pods about trade rumors and who's on the market and all this shit, because there's like different possible angles to take. There's not too many angles to take of like, yeah, man, Nikola Jokic, great game, huh? Yeah, loved it. Good stuff. Jamal Murray, huh? How about that? Good player. It's like, there's just not. The finals pods sucked, and I want everybody that did finals pods to know that I think you could probably just not do them next year, and nobody will care. unless like the Knicks make the finals, which that'd be awesome. Then we should all do podcasts every fucking
multiple
day.
times a day.
Yeah, actually, we should quit our jobs for like the duration of the finals and just live stream conversations about the Knicks the entire time. But anyway, I think the draft is pretty interesting, and I want to start off with this because I was listening to. I thought this was pretty interesting. I was listening to Woj on Russillo's pod, and then I listened to the Low podcast today, and Woj was basically like, the thing is with Woj, he's always trying to protect every fucking GM because like he just needs access to shit. So like according to him, no GM is under any pressure. They're not in a rush to do anything. Everybody's gonna be working in very, very like methodically and just be very patient and just run everything prudently. I don't buy it, Woj. I don't fucking buy it. And I wanted to start off with the Zion stuff because I think the Zion thing is pretty fucking interesting. There was a report, I think it was last week, right? Actually, in the middle of the finals, Shams, my brother Shams, shout out. You made it, bro. But Shams had a report in the middle of the finals that the Pelicans were looking to trade up to 2 or 3 for to get Scoot Henderson, and in it, he talked about it on there, and he talked a little bit about it, I think, on like his appearances on FanDuel TV or whatever the fuck it is. About, like there are at least conversations happening internally about Zion. When they say that publicly, that actually means something to me. I feel like that means those conversations are more serious than just like they talked about it. Like, and then we got the report today that David Griffin met with Zion at the Saints practice facility, which led to a lot of very just like, guys, can you just meet at like a basketball location so the jokes don't write themselves here? She met with Zion today, and then they let go of Teresa Witherspoon, who is a player assistant development coach, whatever you want to call it, who I guess Zion was close with. And I'm just going to throw this to you. So I want to start here. I want to start at the very top. You're a Wemby guy. I mean, everybody's a Wemby guy, right? Nobody's like, no, I don't like Wemby. Like
the most you'll get is like, Wemby scares me because he's tall. I'm still taking him.
Yeah, and like there's like a minority group that's like, I would take Scoot over Wemby, which is like, I mean, we'll talk about Scoot later. I think Scoot's awesome, and as awesome as Wemby is, it actually would like, because this is just how the NBA draft works. Like, it wouldn't shock me if in like 7 years we're just like, man, Wemby's good, but Scoot's like fucking something else. Like, holy shit, that's just how the NBA draft works. But like, yeah, the majority, like, that's not really saying much. It's like, oh, Scoot could just be so awesome that he's more awesome than Wemby. Like, that's not, nobody is not a Wemby guy. Anyway, my question is this. Because you were a Zion guy, like everybody was a Zion guy. If I promised you, right, if I was, the fucking Holy Spirit and you're like, I'm the genie, right? You're Aladdin. You get 3 wishes. I come out and I'm like, yo, tell me what you want to know. And you're just like, I have the number 1 pick. Will Zion Williamson be healthy for the rest of time? Or is he always going to be injury prone? Would you consider trading the number 1 pick for Zion if you knew that he would be healthy? If I was like, he is never going to have another injury again.
And I didn't, and I can't use my second wish to ask the same question about Wemby.
You can't. You're only allowed 1 injury question per pick.
This is a fucking weird ass genie, bro.
What? It's like his rule. What was his rule? Like, I can't make somebody fall in love with you, right? I can only tell you 1 injury per pick.
That's true. This is a special genie. This is who am I to question the ways? That's a really good one. I would probably take Zion just because we know he's an insane player. We just know he can't fucking stay healthy. Like when he like these are facts. And these are facts right now. When he plays, even with his issues on defense, which are significant, we know he's probably at worst a top 10 offensive player in the league, maybe top 5. Like obviously Jokic and Steph, whatever order you want, are probably 1 and 2 in terms of just pure offense.
He's in the convo for 3 when he's healthy.
Yeah, because after that it's like him, Giannis. I honestly can't. There's like obviously there's tons of talented players like LeBron when he's healthy, and Donnie and Dame and these guys, but like Zion is he just breaks the game. The issues above all else, he's obviously not healthy, and then number two, he has not been able to deliver on defense. So I guess if you pick Zion, you're just like, I'm gonna take this historically elite offensive production to the bank and just go home with that.
So this is what he's averaged. I'm removing his 24 games as a rookie, which weren't bad. I'm just removing them.
Yeah.
This is what he's done in the last 90 games that he's played over 3 years, by the way. Which is like, dude, just fucking Jesus. Like, lose some fucking weight.
He's too busy getting it in, bro.
Yeah,
Stop
getting
hating.
it in should result in like, you lose some fucking calories. Like, come on. Like, what's going on here?
He's not doing the work. He's just hanging. He's just hanging out. This motherfucker's entitled. We know that. Is that a surprise? He's clearly entitled.
Okay, this podcast is going off the rails.
I was just telling you what it is, bro.
All right, so 90 games, 26.7 points, 7.1 rebounds, 4.0 assists, 61% from the field, 32.1 from three. He hasn't taken many threes. Only
What's
averaging
his true shooting, like 80 or some stupid shit?
I'm gonna look it up right now because it's weird. In those 2 seasons, it is 65%. 65%.
Yeah.
Like he's a generational offensive player when he's on the floor. Like there's just not even a question about it.
And that's like a floor because he's young and getting better in theory.
And that's also with like shitty spacing. Like they've not had good spacing around him in New Orleans. And to your point, like they didn't even use him the way you kind of like want to experiment, right? As like not necessarily point Zion, but just like a lot of
they only did point Zion like recently. That wasn't from the get-go.
Right. And so like it kind of like it breaks my like he's like it's impossible to talk about him because on one hand you're like you're never on the fucking floor, and on the other hand you're like, well, when you're on the floor you're fucking amazing. So like what am I supposed to do with that? And
if you're a GM, it just comes down to your ability to gather intel on him physically and him between the ears and just make a judgment call, right? Like, is this something, it's not unlike the call the Knicks made with Randall. Like Randall's obviously in phenomenal shape. That's a huge difference. And Randall hardly gets hurt, which is a huge difference. But the Knicks made a calculated bet that, like, look, the combination of role and just him not being right mentally, like, we have the staff and infrastructure to turn that around. Another team has to make that call without employing him, which is really tough. But if your team isn't in a great situation already, then you have more reason to take that gamble than if your team is like, as you get more desperate to catch up, you're willing to the rest of the league. You become more willing to take risks, to take shortcuts and stuff like that, right? Like I was joking in one of my DMs, like that if the Hornets were to trade for Zion, like this is exactly how I operate my fantasy basketball teams every year. I'm just like, injury prone guys who could put up the best numbers, like, yeah, fuck it, they're on Prez's team this year. Like dating back to like the Heatles, I would constantly have like D Wade and like Anthony Davis and like all these fuckers.
I got fucked so hard this year. I had Zion, I had KD, I had fucking somebody else. I can't even remember. I had like, but I had, like they were all like killing it, and I'm like, man, this is. Oh, I had Jaren Jackson Jr., which worked out actually awesome. But I had like all these dudes that are injury prone for the first like 30 games of the year. I'm sitting there, I'm like fucking king of the castle. I'm running away with the league. And then it was like, just kidding. We're all injured now. I was like, oh, great.
Well, better that than fucking what happened to me, which was I was running my league, and then I had fucking Yosemite Sam in Memphis who fucking got kicked off the team. And then I also had Luka, who was like, all right, they flipped the tank switch at the end of the season.
I had Luka too.
It was, I'm never drafting that motherfucker again, bro. I hope Adam Silver fucking.
You're drafting him next year.
You're drafting him next year?
No, you are. I'm pretty sure this is not like, there's no way you're like No, I can't draft Luka under any circumstance.
No, I don't mean Luka. I mean Morant.
Oh yeah, no, I would never draft him.
Yeah, I'll draft the fuck out. Luka, like, I don't put that on him. I put that on.
I put it on him, but like I
office.
also know that motherfucker's gonna like this is not real basketball. This is fantasy basketball. So I know that he's gonna put up numbers, and I know he's gonna play a lot of games.
Right. I know he's not gonna do some stupid shit that gets suspended.
Yeah, like the dumbest thing he's gonna do is go smoke hookah and get caught. Like, okay, whatever. No, going back to this, like, all right, is it safe to say though that in the current circumstances, given what we know, given the information you have, you would not be trading the number 1 pick for Zion?
No.
Okay. Let's move. I think that's yeah, and I don't think any GM in the NBA would. I don't think like it's just not a consideration. Okay, pick 2. This is the Hornets. Scoot's on the board with all the information we have now. So this is not Genie telling you he's going to be healthy because that makes it too easy. I know if the Genie tells you he's going to be healthy, we're all going to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I'm taking Zion over anybody else. Okay, no, the Genie is gone. The Genie decided, fuck this guy's next 2 wishes. I'm out of here. You only have the information we're working with. This is all you know. Are you trading the Scoot Henderson pick for Zion Williamson?
That question applied to Charlotte is a good hypothetical because like they're not in a great spot. I mean, I think they have most of their picks, right? But they don't have much in the way of young talent. It's like LaMelo, the lesser McDaniels bro, a re-signed 25-year-old PJ Washington, maybe your son Mark Williams.
They don't have a lot. It's like honestly the only things they have that I feel good about are. And I don't even really feel I don't feel as good about LaMelo as you do. But like LaMelo's talented. So it's not like it's not a nothing, right? You have LaMelo, you have Mark Williams, who I like, but I'm not like, oh, he's gonna fucking this is a championship.
He's a franchise center, right?
Yeah, like I don't know that.
Even with me, like I think extremely highly of LaMelo. I think he's amazing. Yeah. But like
you like want to leave your family, like you want to leave your wife for LaMelo Ball, basically.
I would go visit LaMelo Ball in on certain weekends. And I'll leave it at that. But no, I think that's just one thing. That's literally it. They don't have other teams' picks. They don't got a big treasure chest. So you could argue that it's worth that kind of risk. I personally don't buy into any of the fit LaMelo Scoot. Like that's not a factor for me. Like to me, they're both extremely good in ways that actually complement each other, and I have no issue.
Also, this is worth noting. Scoot apparently measured 6'4" in shoes.
Yeah. I'm suspicious. I'm suspicious, but
I don't. Yeah, I also just don't. I just even if he's 6'2" in shoes, like he's so fucking jacked. He's like one of the few point guards that I'm like, I think you could probably guard like 2s, maybe 3s, even at some point.
For me, the height doesn't impact. Like the only thing.
6'9" wingspan.
It's the finishing. That's what to me is like impacted by the height. Like it's just hard to finish when you're a short guard in the NBA. Like even like Steph and Kyrie, like they have to do the craftiest fucking finishes in the world, and they're 6'3" and 6'4" respectively. Like the Jalen Brunsons are few and far between. So it's just tough no matter what. If you're short. But if he's 6'4" in shoes, then I would feel a little bit better about his finishing. But again, this is just like splitting hairs or whatever. I agree with you on defense. Like, I don't think
he's like super competitive and shit too.
He is. He has to like. He reminds me of Deuce in a lot of ways. In that, like, at least Deuce as a prospect, Deuce was more gifted at defense than Scoot by far. But like, they're just working off instinct. Like they're still learning team defense and like technique and all that shit, but they're just gifted physically so they can lock in and do shit. But like off ball, like Scoot, nobody's gonna be like, oh my god, Scoot, like amazing. Like he's not like quickly off ball or something like that. And he doesn't have like elite like screen slitheriness like Grimes or something, but he's so fucking like strong. Baby. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. He's like most 18-year-olds don't have that. Like even IQ and Grimes and Deuce when they were 18, I'm sure they were all fucking learning how to do all that shit as well. So like, who gives a shit, right? So like, he'll be fine on defense, defending 1s and 2s. Like, yeah, fucking Kevin Durant's gonna shoot over him. Like, big whoop. Kevin Durant's gonna shoot over everybody. So like, that's not moving me. So would I do it? Probably not, just because Scoot is such a physical specimen that I feel like you don't have to worry about injuries, and that doesn't necessarily correlate to being healthy all the time, right? There's plenty of great, like, everybody's been talking about fucking Bradley Beal. He came into the league like a physical specimen, not like Scoot, but pretty advanced, and he ended up being very injury prone. So like, what the fuck does that mean, right? I don't know, but the injury shit is just a lot. But I see the appeal. I think it's reasonable to say yes as well, especially if you consider the business element of it. Like Zion, he may not play all the games, but that motherfucker's gonna put butts in seats. It's just how it is, especially if he's playing with LaMelo. And Scoot eventually will do that, but Zion will do that right now. So if you were one Michael Jeffrey Jordan trying to sell your team right now, there are worse ideas than get one of the most primetime, well-known attractions. With apologies to Scoot, he'll be there at some point, but like, Zion's a first name motherfucker right now. Scoot is a first name motherfucker on the internet. So like, I get both arguments. I'd probably just stick with Scoot, stick with the younger timeline. Don't fuck with the injury risk. Why? Just, you have like a gift wrapped sustainable future. But again, it's Zion. If you think that like, oh, New Orleans, I don't know what the fuck David Griffin doing over there. This motherfucker playing piano to Zion instead of getting him in the gym. Like, I could forgive a GM for being like, I could do better than those fucks in New Orleans, you know?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I would counter though, and I would be like, I'll give you LaMelo for Zion. I would do that if I were running the Hornets. I would put that on the table. Like, hey.
Well, you've thought LaMelo is like 1 foot out the door for a minute, right?
I'm not sure about it. I don't like any, like you just said, like they don't have any foundation, right? They don't have extra picks. They don't have like the things you would want to have.
Well, LaMelo's not like 25. He's 21.
He's not 25, but you already burned his rookie contract, basically. Like there's nothing, like you did nothing in his rookie contract. You had him for 3 years. And I know, like, they lost in the playing game the first 2 years, but it's
you did nothing. You did nothing.
Yeah, you did nothing. Like, if you lose in the playing game the first 2 years, then you have a bad season, but you did it while, like, establishing some kind of foundation instead of being like, oh, you're going to play with Terry Rozier and fucking Gordon Hayward's corpse. And, like they don't have anything. PJ Washington's a free agent. Who the fuck knows if he's going to stay? Who the fuck knows they want to keep
But do you think it's that big of a deal to have to, like, effectively begin building while he's on his second contract?
I think it's really hard because I think by that point, like once you're not a rookie anymore and you get paid, first of all, they're going to have to probably throw a max on the table for him, which, like, whatever, like whether you think he's worth it or not, like that's the reality. They're going to pay him max. Okay.
Yep.
So once he's on that contract, you don't get the luxury anymore of just being like, oh, well, we're just going to, play it out this year and fucking we'll see what happens. And if we end up in the lot, like there's going to be pressure on him. There's pressure on them. And the thing that actually sucks, I think, and I'm guilty of this, but I'm a hater, so that's part of why. Like once guys get paid, like when their teams lose, most of the time everybody's just like, well, why the fuck are they losing? Does this guy suck? Is that what's the problem? Does this guy suck? Is he bad? Like, that's the conversation, right? And you're like, there's always this like, well, what the fuck? Like, can we stop? Like, that's the conversation that happens. And I just,
but if you believe that he's good,
I believe he's good. I don't believe he's so good that they are.
No, I don't think he's good enough to automatically force them to be like a solid playoff team or anything. But I was gonna say more like, does that, like, if you're the front office and you believe he's good and you're not having success, then you probably know, oh, it's not LaMelo's fault. It's the other shit that we've done.
Right. And so my concern though is like, if you, let's say, like, there's obviously, as I think Scoot's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
But you have to bake in risk that, like, he's not, right? Like
or at least not immediately.
Yeah. He might not be awesome immediately. Maybe he's only very good and not awesome. Like, there's all these kind of things. But like, let's say he's not good. He's not awesome for like the first 3 years or something, which is not unreasonable. You know what I mean? Like being an awesome point guard takes time. Like it just does.
John Wall, his third year was like, and he was older than Scoot as well. He was putting up like 19, 4, and 8 on. I mean, he didn't shoot threes back then, but like for
John
what
Wall
was
did
back
a lot
then,
of
decent.
John did a lot of things.
But my point is like that was he was good, but that he didn't make his first All-Star game till year 4.
Yeah, and he was considered a generational like point guard prospect.
Yeah, he was very like that's why I brought him up because he's like that's how Scoot is. Like he's like that. He's we all think of John Wall kind of washed up now. Derrick Rose, obviously, year 3. I mean, he was also older than Scoot. Both John and Derrick were 20 as rookies by.
Yeah, Rose is like
was
the
25
dream.
a game.
Yeah, Rose is like the
year
dream
3.
scenario, right?
Yeah,
like, that's like the dream scenario.
Yeah.
Ja, if he wasn't, like you said, what did you call him?
Yosemite Sam.
He wasn't Yosemite Sam. Like that would be a dream scenario type of thing. But like, it's not often that happens. And so like my concern is just like, okay, so now you burn another 3 years where you're not. And the problem with LaMelo, I think, is like if he's healthy, right? If he's healthy, he puts them kind of in like the Beal zone, right? Where it's like we're not like he's too good to allow us to be like.
I would say, by the way,
shit.
just real quick, I would say that like if you had to make me bet like by year 3, how good is Scoot? I don't know if I would say All-Star, but he's probably to me averaging more than 20 by then. Easily.
I'm like all in on Scoot, man. I think he's gonna be a fucking stud.
But this is what I'm saying. Like I don't think like he like all these guys who are like amazing. If you really look at it, like all these like amazing top 3 point guard picks, like De'Aaron Fox, Derrick Rose, John Wall, like John Morant. You pick all these guys were like which of them disappointed? Like I'm trying to go. Like I don't think any of them really.
But Fox is a good example. Fox is a good example because it took him some time.
He was really good by year 3.
He was really
not
good.
as good as he was right now.
No, he was really good, but it also was like it's a perfect example, right? He was really good, but his organization, his franchise made mistakes in building around him, and because of that, it didn't matter until like this year where they were like, "Oh, what if we just get a lot of shooters around De'Aaron Fox and play fast?" And it was like, "Wow, this is an amazing idea. This is so good." And so like I don't know, like to me, I just think like. I believe in Scoot way more than I believe in LaMelo. Again, that's not to be like, I don't think LaMelo sucks. I just don't like. I truly believe like. I mean, I have not studied extensive Scoot Henderson tape or anything, but like what I have seen from him, his build, all that type of stuff. I'm just like, I think this guy is like that is what I want. If I was building like some franchise point guard in a lab or something, aside from the 3-point shooting, which he took a step up this year.
He's not a bad 3-point shooting point guard prospect. He's just not a good one either. That's all.
Yeah, and so like based on, I'm just like I'm like fucking all in on this dude, and I would like look if you have the chance to move, like again, I would just make the offer. I'll give you LaMelo, you give me Zion. Like you get out of the Zion business, and I give you a point guard who can point guard and isn't CJ McCollum. Like. I take that shot. I just take that shot because I think Scoot and Zion together would be absolutely bananas if they hit. Do I think New Orleans says yes to that? Probably not, because I think, if you're David Griffin, you're like, this is the hardest part about trading Zion because you're like, but what if he stops being fat? Like how stupid am I gonna? I'm gonna look so fucking dumb. This is terrible. So like I ultimately land where you do. I don't think Charlotte can trade the Scoot pick for Zion. I don't think New Orleans can trade Zion for LaMelo. I would trade Zion for the Scoot pick though if I were them. I would do that.
So, I think it's going to happen. Personally, I think it makes sense for like you said, like yes, the specter, the looming specter of Zion potentially getting his life together somewhere else.
Michael
sucks.
Jordan's just gonna bully Zion.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this is David Griffin, fucking black mage, right? So, like, if that happens, what are people gonna say? David Griffin is stupid? No, they're gonna be like, oh, Zion had a change of scenery. Michael Jordan fucking worked with him, and he got his life together.
This is why Jordan's the GOAT, guys. Look at this
Exactly.
leadership.
And David Griffin's not gonna. I think he's Zion's been injured and out of shape enough that people will be like, oh, like Zion got it together somewhere else, but like there's, if you're dating somebody who's toxic and they get it together later in life, like that's fine. They were supposed to do, like, everybody's on their journey. They did it later in life, but nobody's gonna be like, man, you should have anticipated your partner not being toxic in the future and just put up with the big toxic right now. Like, no, like, I think people will understand that. So like, I think David Griffin unfortunately stands to benefit here by getting Scoot. And I think Charlotte, I think the combination of Zion, we could do better with Zion. I can fix them, to use the dating analogy, right? Like, I can fix them. I can fix
him.
Yeah, I can fix him. And then combined with like the fact that Jordan's potentially getting ready to sell, like if that offer's on the table for both sides, I think they do it, because it just, like, short term, that's the best way I can put it. The long term stuff aligns, but the short term stuff really aligns because
how does it change?
New Orleans needs to be good now.
How does it change for you? Obviously, like, if they want to take Brandon Miller, then they must think Brandon Miller is like worthy of the second pick overall. But for you, like GM Prez, if your owner, like, let's say you're the GM of the Hornets, and your owner's like, look, you can either keep the pick and draft Brandon Miller, or you can trade the pick for Zion.
I'm easily trading the pick for Zion.
Right. So like, you don't think
I like Brandon Miller a lot, but he's not like Scoot to me.
Like, you don't see superstar.
I mean, he might be, but I don't think his superstar form is close to Zion. I don't think his highs are as high as Scoot's highs might be. That's the best way I can put it. Let alone Zion's.
You think like Brandon Miller could be a perennial All-Star? You think Scoot could be a perennial All-NBA guy?